This is the point in the meeting where we sort of extend the privilege of the floor, and anyone who cares to address the council on any topic is welcome to do so. And we ask you to please use the microphone in the middle of the room and give your name and address, please. Well, we'll start with Mr. Lamon, I guess.
Well, I guess I'll go first. We can get this right out of the way in a hurry. We're still looking for some answers over on Ward Street, what's going on, what's happening. A couple of questions that we had was city opening up Mr. Moot's house on the weekends. We're wondering who's paying for that. Is that the taxpayers, or is that Mr. Moot that's paying the overtime on that? Mm-hmm. We had a little incident over there the other day where he was driving again with just a permit. And vehicle was unregistered or uninspected, unlicensed. He parked his truck. It's in. If you drive by my house, it's on my driveway too. I can hardly get in my driveway. I asked him to move it, and he had a few choice words that we also reported. And they're going to look into some conduct issues with him. Mm-hmm. I mean, things aren't getting any better over there. They're getting worse over there. I mean, there's a lot of abuse going on. I mean, he's doing this in front of the neighborhood people, children, and I mean, something's got to happen here pretty soon, or something's going to happen. Mm-hmm. I'm just wondering if anything's going on here.
Is there anything new, Mrs. Corvo?
I can give you an update on where he is with the work that's being performed. The beam is in. That supports the structure. 90% of the plumbing work is done. Partial repairs to the kitchen floor have been completed. Work that still needs to be done is in the attic, pulling the walls in. The sidewalk needs to be finished. That doesn't impact his occupancy, but he's also under an order to replace the sidewalk, and crushed stone is in. The concrete has not been poured. He needs to finish the kitchen floor and the plumbing, and then will require a certification from his engineers. But the work is well underway. With regard to the incidents that occurred this weekend, 2 tickets were issued to Mr. Moot, one for an uninspected motor vehicle, one for a licensed operation, and there was a deposition taken with regard to disorderly conduct, and that will be handled through the court system. Because it's a violation, police department cannot do anything unless they actually see it.
Okay. Now, do we know anything about the previous unlicensed driving citations? Have they been adjudicated, or?
That I don't know, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Is there an endless number? Apparently there is, but is there an endless number of times that one can be cited for that if the courts never take action?
That's up to the court system, Mr. Mayor. I'm not in control of how the judge adjudicates those types of crimes.
Mrs. Corvo, do we know when that will be going to court?
No, I do not.
I thought he had a time limit on his sidewalk. Somebody said it's been like 2 weeks. They've just left it that way. I know he is not in any hurry to get it done, as he's told the contractors. In fact, they said something about his side porch that was falling in that had to be repaired. And he said he's not replacing that, as I heard him one day. And, I mean, at some point, something's got to happen here. I mean, I understand that you're trying to fix up the inside of the house so this gentleman can go back in there and then drag all the garbage from the city back in there, like he's been doing. I mean, we talked about having a health inspector in there at the last meeting, and then when it got up to the time where somebody had to say, yes, let's get somebody in there, I know Councilman LaBeouf's the only one that said let's do it. Nobody else wanted to do anything. I just wondering, is there any resolution on that? Can we get somebody in there that's a health inspector? I know the contractors say that it's pretty bad in there, and that maybe it should be looked at again, or all this work we've done to get it cleaned out is just gone by the wayside.
Mm-hmm. Has the $41,000 been paid? Okay.
I had a question in regard to that $41,000. What is our liberty with that in regard to, can we make it mandatory that that's paid immediately rather than just being put on taxes to be paid for?
No, we cannot treat that as anything other than a lien against the property. If it remains unpaid, it will be added to his taxes when his tax bill goes out in July, and he'll be required to pay that within a certain time frame. If he doesn't pay it, then it goes through the tax sale auction, and the tax sale certificate on the property will be sold, and he has a 2-year redemption period after that.
How about for the overtime on the weekends? Who's paying that?
I would imagine if city staff is coming in to unlock that home, that we are paying them.
Just if I could, then back to the issue of Dr. Kasulki. I know that Mr. McQueen had stated to me over the phone that in order for Dr. Kasulki initially to be able to go in, he would have to get Mr. Moot's approval, and apparently the outreach was done and Mr. Moot denied it. But then Mr. McQueen said we do have another alternative, and that is we could pursue a court order. I guess I'm just trying to put myself in the position of the residents that why leave any stone unturned? I think it would probably be pretty, productive, at least for us to know one way or another, because right now there's a question mark in all of our minds. Are there hazards or aren't there?
Our code enforcement personnel are in there on a daily basis. When they lock the house up, they're inside it. They make sure no windows are left unlocked, so that there's no access after hours. So they're in and out of that building on a regular basis.
Yeah, I watch them every night. They come up, they put the padlock on, they leave. They don't go in the house. They don't go in the house. So, right there. I watched them tonight. They come up, padlocked, and left. Nobody goes in the house. That's from my point of view. We can stand there watching them. And first of all, they should have had a health inspector up there when they first cleaned it out with the stuff they were bringing out of there that wasn't healthy. I think that's kind of what upset everybody. That should have been done the first thing.
No. Another thing Mr. McWayne had indicated was, since we have access to do these inspections on the progress of the construction, there's nothing that precludes this doctor from accompanying Mr. McWayne in there or the other inspectors, since he's obviously an authorized agent of the city, just like the building inspectors are. So, I mean, as far as taking a look-see without the benefit of a court order, you already have access to the building for your code enforcement people.
I have not had that conversation with Mr. McQueen.
Yeah.
And I think Mr. Sly has addressed allowing other people in to Mr. Moot's home.
Well, it'd be one thing to allow Mr. Zimmer in, but I think this doctor is an authorized, empowered agent of the city. I mean, there's been a resolution passed indicating it. Not that I necessarily think he's going to find this smoking gun you're looking for, but there's nothing that I would say would preclude any authorized agent of the city from accompanying Mr. McWayne or the other code people.
I mean, if there's nothing in there, what's the big deal about getting somebody in there then?
Mr. Moot has indicated he doesn't want them in his home.
I don't want Mr. Moot on my property, but he's over there all the time. That doesn't seem to faze him. He's over my property again this weekend.
Well,
I've asked him not to be. So, and I've turned him into the police 3 or 4 times. Nothing ever happens. So apparently he can go and do whatever he wants on everybody else's property, but nobody can do anything on his property. I don't see where that is the same. I don't understand why one guy holds our whole block hostage, and that's what he's doing. He's doing whatever he wants to do, and whatever we say doesn't matter. He's going to do things the way he is, and he's even told me in so many words a couple times that he's going to do what he wants to do. So, I don't know if this is just a waste of time for me down there.
I don't think it's a waste of time, because we certainly appreciate you and the other neighbors who have come on a pretty regular basis to keep us aware of what is happening and to keep all of our feet to the fire. My position remains unwavering on that issue of Dr. Kasulki. Like I said, I had talked to Mr. McWayne. He stated what the protocol was. He followed through with it. Mr. Moot said no. But we do have at our liberty, according to Mr. McWayne, the option of pursuing a court order. I think it's an appropriate step. He's a third party, and he's someone that could answer the question that none of us can. And I think it would give us the tools that we need, one way or another, to be able to know which direction to progress in.
I had a friend of mine who's